All right, everybody, welcome to BO Boys for Friday, March 3rd. It's a raw feed. We're doing it live. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat. Weekend preview episode is here. We
Oh, yeah.
got three movies on the third, and the biggest of the three is Creed 3. Creed is back in the ring. Michael B. Jordan back in the ring. He's directing this movie. This is a huge movie. It's supposed to come out last fall, last Thanksgiving weekend, and instead we got Strange World, but it's finally here. So, Clayton, are you personally, not we'll put professionally aside for a second, are you personally excited for Creed 3?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm very excited. I mean, I was excited for every one of these Creed films. And I'm very excited for this one because when we saw Avatar, The Way of Water,
Mhm.
before the movie showed, we saw it in IMAX, and there was a whole preview of Creed 3 and
Mhm.
how it was shot for IMAX and shot for PLFs. And listen, I'm in the mood for a big movie on a premium screen.
Yes.
And I feel like this is going to be a great experience. We already have our tickets booked for IMAX.
Yep. Yep.
And I think, listen, some people are saying, "Oh, Stallone's not in it." You know, I I could always use a little Stallone, but I'm really excited for the story. I think it seems like it's going to be action packed. This is the Jonathan Majors I want to see. I don't want to see
Mhm.
him in blue face paint. I don't want to see him as some sort of alien creature, whatever he's supposed to be. I want to see him as a meat and potatoes guy punching another guy. That's what I
Okay.
want to see Jonathan Majors as because he's got the physique and he's an intimidating fellow, and I think he could play a great bad guy in one of these Creed movies. And who knows? Maybe he's not actually a bad guy. I don't know. I don't
We
know.
got to see it. We
We
got to
got to
see the
see it.
fight. So you said something very important that Creed 3 is going to be, we're seeing it in IMAX, and it is getting the majority of the IMAXs and the PLFs. So it is already, before the fight even started, has already delivered a TKO to Ant-Man 3.
Mhm.
Ant-Man 3 is being stepped on, and the shoes are being scraped of these ants, and they are not going to be in the IMAXs. This is I mean, this is a huge story for not a summertime Marvel movie to be kicked out of the IMAXs so quickly. I think just shows right now we're state of Marvel, but it shows what a big deal Creed 3 is, that it's getting all these IMAXs, and
Yeah.
that's going to translate to big dollars. I mean, PLFs are more important now than ever for these opening weekends because you get the big inflated ticket prices that add to the kitty, and
Mhm.
it's only going to help Creed 3. It's going for a record here. That's what Creed 3 is going for. We know this is going to be a successful opening weekend. But
Yes.
the question for Creed 3 is, will it be the biggest opening of any of these Creed films? And the second one is the record holder, right? The second Creed in 2018 opened to what, 35 million,
Yeah.
35 and a half million.
35.6, absolutely, over Thanksgiving 2018, which these are Thanksgiving movies normally. The first
Right,
one came
right.
out over Thanksgiving. But I think there is as we saw last week, and a thirst for movies. I mean, Cocaine
Y-
Bear went over tracking. Jesus Revolution went over tracking.
Yep,
So, I mean, I think this is a franchise people are excited about. This is a actor people really like in Michael B. Jordan.
yep.
And I think this is just a sturdy franchise that is going to bring in young people and oldsters. Like I know that when we were talking to the great Scott Mendelson
Hmm.
last episode, and if you didn't hear
Legend.
that, yeah, if you didn't hear that episode, what's wrong with you? It's available on our on our feed. Go check it out. Go watch it on YouTube.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think he said that this was going to skew a little bit older. I think this is an all ages type movie. I mean, I think a lot of people of all ages. And this is going to be, I think, a great demo split when it comes to demographics. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like when it
Yes.
comes to like um, Caucasian, African
Right.
American, Asian, Hispanic. I do think that racially, this is going to cross all of those.
Yes, Creed 3 will hit all races and all creeds. I
There we
totally
go.
agree. It is, and I think it's a date movie. I think
Yeah.
obviously it's boxing, it's fighting, so you would think it's going to skew towards guys, but I think everyone's going to love looking at Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors, and I think it's an easy date movie because
Hmm.
it's just a movie that everyone knows what they're getting into. It's not going to be overly profane or anything offensive in there. It'll be an
Yeah.
easy, hey, do you want to go see Creed with me Saturday night? I think this is a movie that isn't there's nothing inherent in it that's going to turn off any audiences this weekend. I mean, there is this Stallone factor. I mean,
I
you
was just
touched
going
on
to
it
ask
briefly.
you, lack of Stallone. What is your thought on lack of Stallone?
I mean, it's the first Rocky movie ever that doesn't have Stallone. I mean, Creed is its own thing, but it is the DNA, of course, is in the Rocky franchise. I
Hmm.
think it won't be a problem because this isn't a series in which they treated the Rocky character shabbily in the previous movies.
No.
It's not like the second movie, they made him into a joke. Rocky, they put him in a clown suit. They
Hmm.
didn't have him getting beat up by, just random people and
No one
embarrassed
was
and giving him
throwing baloney
wedgies.
at his butt. You
There was
know.
no, yes, they didn't de-pants Rocky in the second Creed movie, throw baloney at his butt, and, put carrots up there, or, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Would it draw faces on his butt? They didn't do
Yeah.
anything
Yeah. Yeah.
like that.
There was no
So,
butt-based shaming at
right.
all.
Right. Yes, Rocky was not debased via his butt in any of these Creed movies. The second Creed, he got to go reunite with his son. He got his sort of happy ending. So I think the Rocky fans have a positive feeling towards these Creed movies. The one thing that could have hurt is the fact that Sylvester Stallone in real life is not happy about not being part of the third movie. There's
Yeah.
different conflicting stories, but he's basically made it clear he didn't like the way they went. They didn't take his creative direction, opted not to be in the third one. And he's not hidden that, but I don't think he's really gotten big press for it. And he hasn't gone full nuclear. Stallone isn't trying to rally the Stallone fans and saying don't go see it. So I
No.
think that doesn't really matter. I don't think Stallone is going to keep people from going to see Creed 3, even if he's not quite happy with it.
Now, there is, I believe, some form of litigation going on over the ownership of Rocky or something like that. There's some sort of he wants more of a ownership in it or something like that. I think did I read that correctly? Is that what's
Well,
going on?
I think
Partially?
I think Sylvester Stallone doesn't own the IP,
Yeah.
that because obviously he was a nobody when the first one got made. So the
Yeah.
producers of the first Rocky movie have more of a stake in this than Stallone does. Stallone, I bet you at this point, probably wants to make another Rocky movie that is separate from the Creed movies. He
Yeah,
wants
and
to
I
make
think
Old Man Rocky movie. That's
it
my guess.
it doesn't make sense for him to tank anything involving this franchise
Yeah.
because if Creed 3 does Bafa Boba, which we think it's
Hmm.
going to,
Yep.
that means that another Rocky movie can be made.
Yes.
If Stallone went out and said, "Don't see this movie, it betrays everything," whatever he wants to say about it, that would look bad for future endeavors. He does not want to burn this bridge, but
No.
he does want to make it known that he would have liked to have been part of this film and he was not. And
Yes,
I think
yes.
that's perfectly okay, and I think we're okay with that. The one way this movie would misstep is if they kill him off screen, which I have not heard happening, and I don't think they would do.
Yes, they cannot pull a Independence Day resurrection in which Will Smith's character died in a training mission
Yeah.
off screen and we just see a photo of him. They
Although
cannot do that
that's
with Rocky.
that's looking smarter now. It looked stupid then, it's looking smarter now.
You know what? If you own the Independence Day IP, the only way you can make a successful sequel to that is you got to put Will Smith in it. Slap or no slap.
Yeah.
It's Will Smith is that franchise. And yeah, I think Stallone in the end is going to want Creed 3 to be successful. So, I mean, let's just get into it. Prediction time for Creed 3. The franchise high is 35.5. Will Creed 3 take the title, be the biggest Creed of all time?
Yeah, so Box Office Pro has it anywhere between 37 and 46, and they're calling 43.
Okay.
And I
That
think that's a really good number. I mean, I would say this I'm gonna go, 42 on this one.
okay. Is there I mean, the thing is right now, the box office landscape feels so fertile. You
Yeah.
know, Cocaine Bear, we're coming off a weekend in which Cocaine Bear did $23 million.
Mhm.
No stars, a joke premise. You know,
Yeah.
basically it's a meme the movie that did 23 million.
Mhm.
I feel like Creed 3 could do 2 Cocaine Bears, and I'm going 46.
Okay, you're going to the max of the tracking. Is there
Yeah,
any way this movie goes nuts
hits 50.
and hits 50?
I mean, I definitely think there is a possibility because this is a third in a franchise. You've got the big new star in Jonathan Majors, and obviously he did not ignite Quantumania. You
But
know, he
he's
wasn't.
been looked at as the best part of
Yes, yeah,
Quantumania.
totally. And he could be a big value add for Creed 3. You know, Creed 2 didn't have a real hot young new star as the villain in Creed 2. They just
No.
didn't. Whereas Creed 3, Jonathan Majors is potentially a big value add. I won't go 50, but I'll do 2 Cocaine Bears. I think Creed
Alright.
3 is 2 Cocaine Bears. I think it hits 46.
Nice. Great.
Um, so there are 2 other new movies opening this weekend. Let's go to the Guy Ritchie movie. So
Alright.
so Guy Ritchie,
Mhm.
famously formerly married to Madonna, and
Yeah.
he's Lock, Stock, and Two Loaded Barrels. What's the name of that one?
Smoking
Two
barrels.
Smoking Barrels and Snatch and Rock and Rolla. He did the Sherlock Holmes movies. So those are the ones that he actually made Bafa Bobo
Yeah.
with those movies. And he directed the Aladdin movie with
That's
Will
the one
Smith.
everybody forgets, including myself.
I cannot believe that was a Guy Ritchie movie. So this is a guy who for hire has directed some blockbusters, but this is more the name of this movie is Operation Fortune. And Clayton, do you know who the stars of this film are?
Yes, the stars of this film are, Aubrey Plaza,
Yes. Ding ding.
Hugh Grant,
Yep.
and his boy and Oliver boy, what's his face?
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham and
And
Josh Hartnett,
Josh Hartnett.
his new boy. Oh, who else?
And Carrie Ells is in this.
Carrie
Star of Saw
Elves.
1.
Yes,
And I think
his
Saw 6 he comes back.
and The Crush,
And The Crush, yeah, Carrie Ells. Those are his
and
big
that's it.
movies. And
He's
that's
not
it.
known
That's
for
what he's known
anything
for.
else.
And a
Yeah.
Seinfeld cameo. So
Well, yeah, we're not talking TV, but of course it was on the front of my mind.
Guy Ritchie's Operation Fortune. This is more in the line of his non-Aladdin, non-Sherlock movies, So he had The Gentleman with Matthew
Mhm.
McConaughey and Hugh Grant, a fun little British crime caper movie.
Yes.
And back in January of 2020, so I mean, right before the S went down,
Mhm.
that movie got to 36.4 million total
Mhm.
at the US or North American box office. So even his small crime movies have a little bit of interest. It opened to $10.6 million back in January 2020. But, Operation Fortune is not quite as fresh as most movies usually are when they open at the US box office.
No, this was a movie that was originally gonna be released domestically by STX, and then they pulled out of the domestic release, and I think it was because I read somewhere that this had to do with Ukraine or something like that.
Uh, So it's STX has had money troubles and they've had some sort of rights troubles. And this movie kind of got tied up in court is
Yeah.
what I'm seeing. And it has though been released abroad. So it's
Yes.
already made and there are conflicting totals here because Deadline is saying that this movie has been released abroad and has made $41.4 million overseas already.
Now, I think that's a mistake because I'm seeing here at the numbers
Okay.
that it's made 20.4 million
Okay.
at the worldwide box office. So what they may have done
Hmm.
is taken the international box office and added it to the worldwide box office to get that number, which basically would be doubling that total, right?
Wait,
So,
but the worldwide box office is international
y
plus North American.
well, here's what I think happened in the Deadline
Okay.
article is that in all it's done is international box office. It hasn't done
Yes.
anything else.
Yes.
So, if you take that 20, that's international box office, and then you add it erroneously, mistakenly to the worldwide box office, which is the same exact number, you end up with 41, right?
Okay.
Like you end up with like 40 or $41 million. I think this was an error of adding the wrong columns and
Right.
coming
Well,
up
I
with
mean,
that
at this
number.
point, they shouldn't have had to add anything.
Yeah, well, that's the
Deadline.
thing is somebody made a mistake.
Someone made, I mean, it's either the numbers or it's Deadline made a mistake.
Well,
So,
let's go to Box Office Mojo. And
oh,
I know we
wow.
hate to do it, and I know we
Wow.
loathe to do it, but let's see if I have to pay to see this or not.
Wow. I feel like this would be shocking if we find any help from Box Office Mojo. Um, but
Operation
listen,
Fortune, I'm clicking on the link.
let's see. If Box Office Mojo solves a problem of ours in 2023, it will be it will be stunning.
Well,
Stunning.
now we have another issue because it's
Yes.
saying 30.6
They've made it worse. So
million.
they've made it worse. Box
So
Office
there
Mojo
are
has made it worse.
varying we don't know how much this movie has made. It's made in between 20 and $40 million internationally
Yes.
or
Yes.
worldwide at this
Yeah.
moment. That's all that
Yeah.
we know.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully someone figures this out. I mean, it does make sense that this movie is tied up in bankruptcy court. And so
Mhm.
maybe STX is just throwing false numbers all over the place just
I
for,
don't
to try
know.
and fool the judge. I'm not sure. But either way, this is a Guy Ritchie British action, comedy, violent, 90s throwback. Let's be honest. Guy Ritchie makes movies that feel like they came out at the same time as 2 Days in the Valley and Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead.
Suicide
He's
Kings
Suicide Kings, classic, iconic.
and
So
Boondock Saints, of course.
of course, of course. So Guy Ritchie, he makes that type of movie, and people still were into that type of movie when The Gentleman came out in January 2020. This one definitely has a lot less buzz because it just is getting very much surprise dropped right
Well, I
now, and
think it's yeah, I think the thing too is it's coming out against Creed 3, which is
yeah,
a absolute crossover here
yeah,
with
yeah,
audience. Now, he had another movie in 2021 called Wrath of Man, which was a Jason Statham vehicle, also
mhm,
starring Josh Hartnett, and that opened to $8.3 million
mhm,
in May of 2021.
right.
And I do believe I don't think it really went up against anything, let's see, when it,
Well, it went up
uh
against most people were still not vaccinated and not allowed in the movie theaters. That's probably the bit more than the competition, at the theater.
well,
There was it was still not a great time for just movies in general.
you know what it went up against was weekend 3 of Demon Slayer, the movie, and
Wow.
Mortal Kombat, with Demon
Wow.
Slayer making $5.1 million in its 3rd weekend. But Wrath of Man went to number 1. It opened 8.3 at number 1. So it is Guy Ritchie has had a number 1 movie, in a
So
recent past. That's not a big blockbuster like Aladdin.
let's get down to brass tacks on a prediction for this. I mean, it's also got Aubrey Plaza. We haven't mentioned her. She's obviously, I would say, at the hottest point of her career in terms
Yes,
of notoriety,
peaking.
popularity. She's peaking. She had White Lotus. I know that's TV, but people know her from that. She
Well,
did
and
have,
Emily the Criminal,
yep,
which it did not buff a bobo, but it is very popular on a specific streaming site,
yep,
and
yep,
people have really discovered that film, as they should, because it is a great film,
yep.
and she's very hot right now. So, here's the thing, though.
Hmm.
It's like what I said earlier is that, people are gonna go to Creed 3 first. The
Yes,
only reason anybody would see this movie is if the Creed showing that they wanted to see is sold out
right,
and this is runoff. This is runoff business.
right.
So I don't see this movie. I mean, I feel like this movie is probably going to cry macho.
I think so. I think this Operation Fortune is a glorified promotion for when it drops on Netflix or Peacock or wherever its landing place on streaming is going to be soon, or PVOD. I think this is a
Yes, because it's
promotion for its PVOD run, which will probably be pretty healthy.
yeah, because who's putting this out now? Who took over? Is this Lionsgate? It's Lionsgate.
Yeah. So I think there's a good chance this will be on Peacock, but it will be on PVOD first. It'll probably do well. So I think we're both on the same page. I do think this cries macho. I think it's gonna do in the threes.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't even think it's going to make the top 5.
Oh, interesting. All right, so a little tease for the end of the episode. Well, let's get to the third and final new movie coming out this weekend. It is in fact a Demon Slayer movie via Crunchyroll. So what is the subtitle of this new movie? Demon Slayer to the Swordsmith Village.
Swordsmith
That is
Village.
so that is the name of this movie. Apparently, it is a collection of episodes of the TV show that are being shown in 4K. Um,
Okay.
so it'll be a you know, you package them up and that's a movie, which is great. We love to see
Well,
that. Get things in
you
movie
know
theaters.
what this is gonna siphon business off of is Ant-Man.
Wow. Okay.
I think the movie that's gonna suffer the most from Demon Slayer is Ant-Man, because I do think there's a crossover between superhero geeks and
Mhm.
anime geeks.
Mhm.
And so I
Mhm.
do think that that's gonna be the one that suffers the
Right.
most. I
Right.
don't
And when
think that there's I cannot imagine there's anybody who's like Creed 3 or Demon Slayer. Maybe, maybe, but I feel like
Right.
Demon Slayer is just a young group.
Right. I mean, it seems like everyone's going to get their licks in on Ant-Man. Even Operation Fortune will take some guys who maybe were considering finally seeing Quantumania, and instead they'll hang out with Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So this Demon Slayer movie, obviously, listen, the height, the apex of these Crunchyroll releases was that Demon Slayer, I think subtitle what, Mugen Train, the Demon Slayer movie that came out in April 2021
Mhm.
against Mortal Kombat and
Yep.
made over $20 million. That
22.7 in its opening
wow.
weekend.
Wow.
Shocking.
I mean, that was the height of these sort of Crunchyroll out of nowhere overperformers.
Mhm.
I don't think we've hit anything close to that since. Crunchyroll's had movies in the teens, but that
Mhm.
was the high water mark. It's not going to happen again. That was a different time, less competition. That kind of audience was the first one back to the theaters, the really
Mhm.
young audience.
Yeah.
So I think that it'll still do well. I could see it hitting 13. I mean, it's Demon Slayer. It's the premium brand of Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
So
Um,
it
uh, the tracking on the Box Office Pro is it goes up to 12.5. So that
okay.
is the peak. And it could go a smidge higher. I would not see that. I would not be surprised by that.
Yeah, I'll go 13. I mean, I think let's do it. I think let's get into our predicted top fives. Those are the new movies for the weekend. So
Mhm.
let's get into it.
Do you
Um,
wanna go first, or do
I'll,
you want
I'll
me
go
to?
first. Number one movie of the weekend, Slam Doink, Creed 3. I think it's doing two cocaine bears, which means 46 million is the opening weekend that I'm predicting there.
Yeah.
So the number two movie of the weekend, man, I'm going Demon Slayer.
Ah, you stole my thunder. I was gonna
Demon
do that
Slayer number
too.
two. I think it's
Yep.
getting to 13 million, which
Yep.
means I'm predicting a 60% or so drop for Ant-Man and the Wasp
Yeah.
Quantumania.
No one
I
likes
think
this
that's
movie.
coming in number three. It could make as little as 11 or 12 million, maybe. So
Mhm.
I think that settles in there. Number four, I am going to go Jesus. Jesus Revolution
I like that.
is
I
number
like that.
four because I think Cocaine Bear is going to have a pretty big drop. It's a gimmick movie.
Mhm.
I think the people who were excited about it saw it already, and I don't think the word of mouth is great.
Yeah.
So I'm going then Jesus 4 and Cocaine Bear 5, and you're going Operation Fortune out of the top 5. That
Yeah.
that's how I see it.
Wow. So, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth,
Okay.
Pat. I see that being the same, because I agree with you with Cocaine Bear that Creed 3 is gonna eat its lunch,
Mhm.
because I do think it has people have said they liked it and enjoyed it, but it does really feel like one of those things that it's like the flavor of the week. And people are
Right.
still gonna go see it, but I do think that there's just other stuff that is gonna take precedent, and Jesus Revolution is just a total separate group of people,
Mhm.
and they're gonna be steadfast with this movie
Mhm.
and continue to make this a hit. So I think I'm like, I gotta agree with you here. I think Creed 3, then Demon Slayer, Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, then Jesus, The Revolution Continues, and then Kokanya Bear,
Right.
number 5, and Operation Fortune is Crying Macho. down there at number 6. But here's the thing. I don't think they expected it to do anything more than Crying Macho.
No, again,
Like,
I think
Crying Macho is going to be good for this film.
yeah. And it's making its bones overseas. We
Yeah.
don't know the exact number. Three different sources have three different numbers, but it's at least 20 million and could be as high as already made 40 million internationally. So it's making money. These Guy Ritchie movies are cheap. It'll be on
Mhm.
PVOD, and this release probably just advertises that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna probably be able to see this in theaters, just practically,
Hmm.
but, I mean, I'm looking forward to streaming this thing at some point
Yeah.
in the future when I'm flicking
Yeah.
around and I'm like, "Oh, hey, that's out? Oh, here we go."
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, we're seeing Creed 3 in IMAX Saturday night.
Mhm.
It's like we're going to see a boxing match in Vegas. You
Oh,
know,
I'm excited.
fight
I mean, I'm
starts
gonna
at
be
10 p.m. It's very exciting.
I'm gonna be excited for it. I'm gonna be standing up and cheering,
Yeah.
and, it's real to me, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll have a full report on our Creed 3 experience. Of course, we will have the results of this weekend on our next episode. It's going to be huge. Must listen, must see. So,
But
Clayton,
Pat, I
yeah.
think, before we leave, I do think there's something else very important about this weekend, maybe the most important thing
Yes. Yes.
about this
Yes.
weekend, and specifically today,
Yes.
Friday, March 3rd,
Yes.
is
So,
yeah,
it's
is something special, right?
it's 3/3/23, and the I would say one is someone you could consider the third BO boy is
Mhm.
turning 23 today. So we want to wish a happy birthday to Danny Escamilaggi of I Screen You Scream 4 number
The number
4
4.
movies. Danny is turning 23. Happy birthday, Danny.
Happy birthday, Danny, and thank you for all the joy you've brought us, all of the great times you've been on this podcast, the emails you've sent, your very own podcast, which, I mean, and he will admit this, he started his podcast because of our podcast.
Yes. Yes. We'll
So,
always have that. That'll always be one of the great achievements of my life and of Clayton's life is that
yeah,
we helped inspire I Screen, You Scream for number
number
4
4.
movies. So
Yeah.
Danny, happy birthday from all of us and everyone. Listen to Danny's newest episode. He said it should be dropping this weekend because he's seeing Creed 3 and he's going to have his Creed 3 review reaction episode up very soon after that. So
That's huge. That's
I
huge.
love it. The guy's spending his birthday the right way in the movie theater. Hopefully, it's a premium screen. Hopefully, he's cashing in on his, gets like a popcorn reward from whatever
Mhm.
theater he's seeing the movie in. Hopefully, he's got a membership. So live it up, Danny. Happy birthday and enjoy the movie.
You deserve it.
Yep. So everyone, email us at theboboyspodcast at gmail.com. Let us know if you end up seeing Creed 3 this weekend, what your theater is like. Or maybe some fights will break out in the stands. People get amped up. Who knows? Who knows? So let us
Mhm.
know what your Creed 3 experience is like and email us at theboboyspodcast at gmail.com. Of course, follow us, subscribe, and like. Smash that like button right down there on YouTube. We are on YouTube. We are YouTubers. So subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button. Rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. Leave a review in the comments. I know we've been saying we will get to it very soon and read
Yes.
some of the reviews we've gotten in the last month or so, but give us 5 stars, leave a review. It's the best way to get the BO Boys podcast spread. And that is what the movie industry needs right now is more people listening to this podcast. And
Mhm.
yeah, follow us, of course, on social media, on Twitter at the BO Boys Pod. Wanna BO intern Christopher did an awesome job this week of getting up fresh clips from our episode with Scott Mendelson. So little short
Awesome.
bites with video up on our Twitter. So great job, Wanna BO intern Christopher, on that at the BO Boys Pod on socials. And Clayton, I think that's it. That's all I could think
Well,
of.
don't you have another podcast?
I do have another podcast. So everyone listen to the Show Me the Money on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, hosted by myself and Nick Turner. We talk about award show gambling, who to bet on, where to put your money. We gave we had a big review on this current episode of the recent SAG Awards. So we talk about what we won and lost on that one, and we give predictions for the Indie Spirit Awards happening this weekend. So we tell you where to put your money down for the big Indie Spirit Awards. And of course, it's all building to the Academy Awards in just another week and a half. Huge, huge new episode of the Show Me the Money on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network.
Gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. That's 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, 467-369. That's 467-369. Or don't.
Yeah, either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right, Pat. I don't think there's anything left to say.
No.
Except until next time.
Will
We'll
smell
smell
you
you at
at the
the
box
box
office.
office.
Nailed
Nailed
it.
it.